But what if I don't have enough money to buy the Christmas things? But what if I don't have enough money to pay my children's school fees? Okay, what if I don't have enough money if I have a medical emergency? What if I don't have enough money to go on vacation or to buy food? I don't want to be cash strapped. I don't want to beg anybody. I don't want to ask anybody for money. These are all the things that go through people's minds when they think or consider starting an investment or investing consistently. Today on Good Eve, we're going to address fear of investing. Hi everybody, this is Good Eve, and I'm here today to talk about fear of investing. So from this video, what you can expect today is to hear about some of the things that drive the reluctance or the fear of an individual, maybe you, to invest. And I know for me, these were some of the things that I thought about and I had to overcome to gradually get to a point where I could begin to put things away for my future. So you should listen to this, because the truth about fear is most of it is a false evidence appearing real. A lot of these things may not happen, and even if they do happen to you, they're not things that you cannot overcome and still end up successful, at least a successful investor on the sum of things. So I definitely want you to listen to some of these fears so that you can even think and share some of the fears that you may have, and so that one can begin to work together and think about how we can confront them and maybe begin to let them go. Now, this video is going to be part of a series that I want to do that's just going to talk about the fear of investing. And so this first video is just going to address overcoming the fear of investing. Not overcoming, just what are the types of fears and the things that cause you to be afraid of investing. I'd like to do another video about overcoming it, but it's not going to be in this video. Now, the first thing I'd like to talk about when you think about the fear of investing is, please subscribe, like the video, push down on that notifications button, and leave comments. Why do I need you to help me with this? Well, the YouTube algorithm will promote this video, and then I can also be able to produce more content and help as many people who may need this information receive it. So thank you for hitting that button, smashing it, and subscribing and liking. Now, the second thing I'd like to talk about when it gets straight to the topic of the fear of investing, the first thing is the fear of losing money, fundamentally. I think for most people, if they knew that they could invest and they were guaranteed to make their money, they would do it. And unfortunately, it's sometimes the scams that have come up have guaranteed people to make money. And because of their lack of understanding that all investments bear a certain degree of risk, people have blindly put more than they can afford, more than they should, not asked as many questions as they should, and at the end of the day, not balanced out their risk. So that fear of losing money. Now, do you know that fear of losing money is actually a phobia? I actually had to look this up. It's called chromatophobia. Chromatophobia. It's actually a phobia, fear of losing money. But I don't think that most of us who are reluctant to invest don't invest because our fear of losing money is at the phobia level. I think it's just, we sit and we think about it and you're like, look, at least if I have $100 today, I have it in my hands, I can spend it, I can save it, I can put it in my bank account and I can see it. There's a comfort that comes with knowing that even if I'm not making anything on that money per se, at least it's still there, but at least I'm not losing anything on it. And I think that fear of losing money is a real problem when it comes to starting as an investor, because you must understand every investment bears risk. The second thing that I think fuels fear of investing is lack of knowledge. So I want to invest. I've thought about it. I realize my savings rate is not enough. Where can I invest? How can I invest? How do I go about this? I think that lack of knowledge also can be very overwhelming. And let me be honest, there are a lot of scams out there. There's a lot of bad information. Unfortunately, even on YouTube, a lot of the channels that get promoted, a lot of them give really, really bad investment advice. They say they're not giving you investment advice, but they really do. They promote bad products, they promote bad asset classes, they call things that are not investments, investments. And so I can understand feeling overwhelmed. I can share a little story for myself, but I'll share more of it in probably story time at the end of this series. But I remember when I was much younger and I started investing and I started putting in a toe, I invested in mutual funds in the US for this matter. And I was a student. I started investing when I was about 16, 15 years old, part-time. And the mutual funds I was advised to invest in, I went to a reputable firm to get in, to handle my investments. But they also didn't fully explain some things. So I just felt I could set it and forget it. And so for years, those mutual funds did not perform. And I remember after a decade, I was like, I thought by now, these funds, instead of losing money, would be gaining money. And the investment advisor who now worked at the firm, the previous guy had retired, said to me, oh yes, that fund manager, oh, they're crap. There were exposés, there were scandals, they charged multiple level fees. They just had a very bad reputation. And he said to me, oh, you should have gotten out of that fund 8 years ago. But I had been going there every year and no one ever gave me that advice. So I can understand feeling overwhelmed by a lack of knowledge. Even when we lean sometimes on these investment professionals, they do give us bad advice. But we'll get to it in the next episode where we talk about how to overcome fear. Another cause of fear is greed. You've heard of people, oh, I put, 15,000 naira in MMM and I got 45,000 naira back, and I'm going to put another 100. In fact, let me go and borrow from my aunt. Let me borrow some money from my brother. You know what? I have access to the office petty cash. Let me just borrow it and put it in. And by the time it's tripled, I'll put everything back and return all the monies and I'll have all this money. And that's the thing. Sometimes there's an almost spiritual fear people have of money. There's a scripture that people say, oh, the love of money is the root of all evil, or is the root of evil. You cannot serve two masters, mammon and God. And so a lot of times I think there's a lot of scriptural misunderstanding, in my opinion, around our relationship with money and the seductiveness of money. And so sometimes the fear of investing comes from the fact that, look, even if I made all this money anyway, I'm just not comfortable. I just don't want to become obsessed with my investments. I don't want to become one of those people who's so worried and so focused on how much they can make. And so that also dampens our desire to invest. Another one is self-limiting beliefs. That's number 4. For self-limiting beliefs, a few of them could be like, I don't have enough money to start. I'm unlucky. My family, my dad was unlucky, started a business and it went belly up. My mom invested in shares and stock, and those stocks failed, or the broker used them. So maybe we just have bad luck. And people think luck doesn't matter, but it matters incredibly to people. They may call it luck, they may call it faith, they may call it something else, but there's just this belief that, no, we don't make money by investing. We only work in jobs and work hard, and that's the only way we save. Procrastination, which is, you know what, I just don't understand, I just don't get it. You know what, I'm still young, let me just do this later. I still have time, it's not a priority now. Let me just focus on earning as much money in my job or in this business I'm running. Let me just focus on that alone. I don't need to think about investing. I don't need to think about optimizing my savings or anything like that. I can do it later. And the final self-limiting belief that I want to share today that affects quite a few of us is saving money will be enough. Let me just focus on saving. If I just save money, I'm guaranteed not to lose it. It's enough. If I I can just, figure out how to be a really good saver. That will be enough to see me through. Now, the challenge with a lot of these self-limiting beliefs is they're like self-fulfilling prophecy. You've decided you're unlucky, so then you are unlucky. And so the things that perhaps we should think about doing, we don't do. We believe that saving will be enough, so we only focus on just putting something away. But that income, you've left it in a bank, right? The bank is using your money to make money. They're just not giving you a decent return for it. And the bank, let's be clear, does invest in ventures that could be risky. So, we have to bear that in mind. So, but it's, I think we'll agree these are some of the self-limiting beliefs that affect all of us. They've affected me even. Another factor that drives fear of investing is bad experiences. And these bad experiences may be ones that you've had as an individual. I know I've had my share. Maybe the experiences of my parents, my friends, and even individuals. You watch a movie or you read an article and you just identify, you connect so much with that victim that you just think that, I don't know if I could survive it if I went through this person's experience. And so it just becomes, I can't come out of my comfort zone. I just don't want to take the risk. I don't want to be heartbroken or devastated if it doesn't turn out well. And so those fear of other people's bad experiences or some of the few limiting bad experiences, we don't frame them as learning opportunities. We just frame them as, this is a line, a boundary, don't cross it. The final thing I would like to talk about in terms of fear of investing that I have written down here is, what if I need this money on short notice? So a fear of lack of cash flow. I want to invest, I put the money in there, and then all of a sudden, I'm expecting my salary, and as happens in Nigeria, the salary comes late, or I've invested my money in a business, and unfortunately for me, my business partner decides not to pay or decides to do some funny business. So the income that I'm expecting from my business, I don't get it anymore. And I find myself in a situation where I now need cash at very short notice. And I've put my money, for instance, maybe in a long-term investment that if I try to liquidate now, I can't easily liquidate. And so there's this fear of, I should have money, I should have cash available to me, but I can't access it. And so for many of us, there's a panic that comes when you think, maybe I need to get medical treatment. Recently, during COVID, my daughter woke up one morning and she was twitching on a part of her face, uncontrollably. Her lip moved up, her eye, and it was really, really scary for my husband and I. And so on very short notice, we needed to get her to a hospital. We have health insurance, but unfortunately the health insurance didn't cover certain things that we need to get done. So we need to get an MRI done. We need to get tests run very quickly because we were concerned. We didn't know if it was accelerating. And I remember, for instance, COVID testing was not covered. So we had to pay, and that was quite a bit of cash to come up with on short notice. And I remember feeling in that situation that if we hadn't had, for instance, we have an emergency fund, which is some of the things I'll talk about. We had an emergency fund, so we're able to tap into that emergency fund on very short notice and be able to pay for some of those tests. But I can imagine the feeling we had at first when we just looked into what we had in our accounts, and I didn't even have enough money to put fuel in my car. And this was a Sunday evening, and I just can understand how people fear and are worried about, what if I have a legitimate need, I need cash now, and I have money, or I have assets that should translate to money, but I can't have access to them. So what I'd like you to do in the comments today is I'd like you to share with me which of these fears you connect with. And then perhaps also share a few more fears that perhaps I haven't mentioned that key into fear of investing. So on a final note, I'd like to ask you to please subscribe, like, and comment. And I'd like to say bye for now.